Saranai. I am Vimalagnani Bhikkhuni, and I have been asked to chant the Transference of merits for the mother of Dr. Chaminda de Silva and the maternal aunt of Mr. Kumar Ponchiheva, and her name is Mrs. Cornelia Vinitha de Silva. We also remember Mr. Ponchiheva's wife, Mrs. Damlara Uyansinghe Jayapardena, and his parents, Garye Ponchihevage Jivananda Silva and Leslin Piaseli Jayasooria Silva. Before I do the chanting for the Transference of merits, I would like to speak a little bit about this custom. Maybe you know that it is quite common for us Western monastics to not perform ceremonies like this, because it is very common that people have a lot of wrong view about this. There's a lot of superstition and ignorance and delusion tied up with those rituals. So usually if we cannot see the person face to face, and if we cannot directly speak with those people who have requested the ritual, we often don't do it, because as monastics it is our duty to foster understanding of the Buddhist path and to strengthen the wisdom and the right view of people. And we do not want to encourage them to engage in rituals that will just strengthen their ignorance and that will move them away from the Buddhist path. For this reason, I really ask you to listen to my short Dhamma talk before you listen to my chanting, so that we can all make sure that we perform this ritual based on the correct understanding of the Buddha's teaching and based on right view and wisdom, and that we do not engage in rituals that would actually obstruct our path. So this may be a time of grief and sadness for you, but it is also very important that you use this opportunity to rejoice in the good life that your departed dear ones have lived. Please recollect everything that you've learned from them, all the acts of kindness that they have performed for you and for your whole family and for other people, and all the good deeds that they have performed in their life. So their life wasn't a wasted life. They had a good life, and now they have moved on as the Buddha has taught, because conditions are impermanent and because nothing is eternal, and whatever is born will inevitably experience death. In actual fact, death is called a heavenly messenger, a Devaduta in Pali and in the Buddha's teaching. If we use it wisely, then death can be a very unique opportunity for us to practice the Buddhist path. Because when we encounter death, there arises in us a sense of urgency and a very special energy to practice the Buddhist path. So don't waste this opportunity. Don't get caught up in all the activities you have to do now connected with the organization of whatever has to be done, whatever rituals have to be performed, whatever administrative duties come up when a dear one passes away. Please also use this time to practice the Buddhist path, because this is a very, very special opportunity. The death of a dear one is really, really an unusual and unique opportunity for you. In order to understand better what the Buddha taught us about death, I would like to share with you a sutta, which I'm going to read out and comment a little bit. And it is called the Patoda Sutta, which is found in the Anguttara Nikaya, the Book of Fourth, Sutta number 113. The English translation of this title is The Whip, and if you would like to read along, then once again the title is Patoda Sutta, and you can find it in your own books. So this is a teaching by the Buddha about how to skillfully use death in our practice. So the Buddha says, monks, there are 4 kinds of high quality forces found in the world. What are the 4? So the Buddha is talking about horses here, and he is comparing our practice on the Buddha's path to the training of a high quality horse. So what does the Buddha say further? Here, monks, this is one kind of high quality horse. It is roused when it sees the shadow of the whip, thinking, what will the horse trainer make me do today? How should I react? Monks, this is how it is for this kind of high quality horse. Monks, this is the first kind of high quality horse found in the world. So there is a horse trainer who wants to train a horse, and this particular kind of horse is very easy to train. If it only sees the shadow of the whip, it will already be attentive and listen to the horse trainer. And the Buddha continues, monks, this is another kind of high quality horse. It is not roused when it sees the shadow of the whip, but it is roused when it feels the whip strike its hair, thinking, what will the horse trainer make me do today? How should I react? Monks, this is how it is for this kind of high quality horse. Monks, this is the second kind of high quality horse found in the world. So for this second kind of horse, it is a little bit slower than the first kind of horse. If it just sees the whip, it doesn't do anything. But if the whip touches its hair, it doesn't have to hurt, but it just touches the hair, the horse will be attentive and listen to the horse trainer. So the Buddha continues, monks, this is another kind of high quality horse. It is not roused when it sees the shadow of the whip, or when it feels the whip strike its hair, but it is roused when it feels the whip pierce its skin, thinking, what will the horse trainer make me do today? How should I react? Monks, this is how it is for this kind of high quality horse. Monks, this is the third kind of high quality horse found in the world. So for this third kind of horse, it is even a little bit slower than the first 2 kinds of horses. It doesn't do anything when it just sees the whip. It also doesn't do anything when the whip just touches its hair lightly. But when it hurts a little bit, when the whip touches the skin, then this horse becomes attentive and listens to the horse trainer. And the Buddha continues, monks, this is another kind of high quality horse. It is not roused when it sees the shadow of the whip, or when it feels the whip strike its hair, or when it feels the whip pierce its skin, but it is roused when it feels the whip pierce through to its bones, thinking, what will the horse trainer make me do today? How should I react? Monks, this is how it is for this kind of high quality horse. Monks, this is the 4th kind of high quality horse found in the world. So here, this 4th kind of horse is even more slow than the other 3. It doesn't react when it just sees the whip. It doesn't react when the whip lightly touches its hair. It doesn't react when the whip hurts a little bit and touches the skin. But when it hurts really, really much, when the whip goes through the whole body to the bones, then finally the horse pays attention and listens to the horse trainer. So the Buddha continues, in the same way, monks, there are 4 kinds of high quality people found in the world. What 4? So now the Buddha uses this simile of the horse to compare it to 4 kinds of people that practice the Buddha's path. And because all 4 are capable of practicing the Buddha's path, that's why they are all called high quality people. There are also people who are not at all capable of practicing the Buddha's path. But we will see here in these similes, for some people, all of the high quality people are capable of practicing the Buddha's path, but some of them find it easy to practice. They only need a little bit of incentive and they already start to practice. Other people need to encounter a lot of suffering to practice the Buddha's path. So that's why they are compared to those 4 kinds of horses. So we will see what the Buddha says now about those 4 kinds of people. Here, monks, this is one kind of high quality person. They hear, in that village or town, a woman or man is in pain or has died. And because of that, they are roused. Roused, they strive prudently. Self-striving, they personally realize the highest truth, wisely piercing through it and seeing it. Monks, this kind of high-quality person is just like the high-quality horse that is roused when it sees the shadow of the whip. Monks, this is how it is for this kind of high-quality person. Monks, this is the first kind of high-quality person found in the world. So here the Buddha teaches us how to use death skillfully in order to advance on his path, the Dhamma path. So there's a person and they just hear, somewhere far away in some town or village, somebody has died. And because they reflect on death, they suddenly feel this sense of urgency because they understand they themselves could also die. And they don't want to waste time. And so they strive on the path and personally realize Nibbana, the highest truth, wisely piercing through it, as the Buddha has put it. So this is the highest kind of person. They don't need to feel a lot of suffering. They don't need to feel a lot of personal suffering. They just hear somewhere far away somebody has died. And still, they reflect on death so much that they can go all the way to Nibbana. They have so much energy, just have so much motivation to get out of this circle of samsara that they can practice the full path and reach the highest truth. And the Buddha continues, monks, this is another kind of high-quality person. It is not when they hear, in that village or town, a woman or man is in pain or has died, but rather when they themselves see a woman or man who is in pain or has died, that they are roused. Roused, they strive prudently. Self-striving, they personally realize the highest truth, wisely piercing through it and seeing it. Monks, this kind of high-quality person is just like the high-quality horse that is roused when it feels the whip strike its hair. Monks, this is how it is for this kind of high-quality person. Monks, this is the second kind of high-quality person found in the world. So here we have the second kind of person. This person is a little bit slower than the first kind of person. If they just hear somewhere far away somebody has died, they don't feel a sense of urgency. They don't really want to strive and practice the Buddhist path. But when they see it right in front of them with their own eyes, that somebody is dying or has died, then they feel a sense of urgency and then they strive and practice and attain Nibbana. So this is the second kind of high quality person. Let's see what the Buddha says next. Monks, this is another kind of high quality person. It is not when they hear, in that village or town, a woman or man is in pain or has died, or when they themselves see a woman or man who is in pain or has died, but rather when a relative is in pain or has died, that they are roused. Roused, they strive prudently. Self-striving, they personally realize the highest truth, wisely piercing through to it and seeing it. Monks, this kind of high-quality person is just like the high-quality horse that is roused when it feels the whip pierce its skin. Monks, this is how it is for this kind of high-quality person. Monks, this is the third kind of high-quality person found in the world. So here we have the third kind of person. And again, when they just hear that somebody has died far away, or even when they personally see someone dying right in front of them, they don't feel a sense of urgency and don't practice the path. But when it is a relative, when they are emotionally connected to the person who is dying or has died, then it hits them very deeply, just as the whip pierces the skin of the third kind of horse. And when they are emotionally involved and when they themselves feel the pain and the loss of the relative, that is when they feel a sense of urgency, and that is what gives them the strength to strive on the path and to make progress and to attain Nibbana. So we see we can use the death of a relative to a good cause. It can give us the strength and the motivation that we need to make more effort on the Buddhist path and to make good progress even all the way to realize Nibbana. And the Buddha continues with the fourth kind of high-quality person. He says, monks, this is another kind of high-quality person. It is not when they hear, in that village or town, a woman or man is in pain or has died, or when they themselves see a woman or man who is in pain or has died, or when a relative is in pain or has died, but rather when they themselves are afflicted with physical sensations that are painful, sharp, rough, bitter, unpleasant, disagreeable, and life-threatening, that they are roused. Roused, they strive prudently. Self-striving, they personally realize the highest truth, wisely piercing through to it and seeing it. Monks, this kind of high-quality person is just like the high-quality horse that is roused when it feels the whip pierce through to its bones. Monks, this is how it is for this kind of high-quality person. Monks, this is the fourth kind of high-quality person found in the world. Monks, these are the four kinds of high-quality people found in the world. So here for the last kind of high-quality person, we see that they are even more slow than the other three. When they hear somebody has died far away, or when they see somebody dying right in front of their eyes, or even when their relative dies, they are not roused, they don't make an effort, it has no impact on their mind. But when they themselves are close to death, when their body is really painful, then finally they see that there is a lot of dukkha in samsara, and they see the impermanence of life. And they see that they themselves might be dying now. And then finally, that realization gives them the strength and the motivation to practice. Even though at that point it may already be a little bit late to practice, because there might not be much time left, but still, better late than never, still they strive, and it is still possible that they could realize Nibbana at that point. So they have to feel a lot of pain themselves to actually be roused and to actually practice the path. But still, they are still considered a high quality person, because even though they need to feel so much pain, they still have the potential to practice the path. Other people, no matter how much pain they might feel, no matter how much death they might witness in other people, they would never ever practice the path. So those people are not considered high quality people. But somebody, no matter how much dukkha they feel, if they practice the path, that would be considered a high quality person. So I really encourage you to use this death of a relative to a good cause and to use it in your Dhamma practice for reflections on impermanence, for reflections on dukkha, for reflections on anatta, so that it might benefit your own practice of the Buddha Dhamma and your own path towards liberation from all suffering, and to finally overcome this round of rebirth, which is called the samsara. Now, you have also requested that I perform this ritual for you, which is the transference of merit. I would like to talk a little bit about this ritual because it is quite common that people have a lot of misconceptions when it comes to the transference of merit. And sometimes we can think that this transference of merit can influence the rebirth of the person who has just passed away. So there is another sutra which I'm not going to read out now, but I do encourage you, if you have the time, to go and read this sutra. It is called the Asibandhaka Putta Sutta. I will say that again, the Asibandhaka Putta Sutta, which is found in the Samyutta Nikaya in chapter 42, and this is sutra number 6. And I will not read it out, but I will briefly speak about the contents of this sutta. So there was a lay person called Asibandhaka Putta, or Asibandhaka's son. He went to the Buddha and he asked the Buddha. So there are some people who say that when somebody has passed away, we just need to perform some ritual or offer some prayers. And if the monk or nun who is performing that ritual is meritorious, then the person who has passed away will go to heaven. So, is that true? Can that actually happen? And the Buddha says, well, if the person who has passed away was a meritorious person, if they kept the 5 precepts, if they did not kill, if they did not steal, if they did not engage in sexual misconduct, if they did not engage in false speech, and if they had right view, and if they generally behaved in a good way, not greedy, not hateful, then it is like a pot that is full of ghee and you throw it into a lake. And then you break that pot that is full of ghee, or we can say full of butter, or full of oil. You break that pot that you have thrown in a deep lake, and all the butter will come up and float up to the surface. And no matter how much you pray, and no matter how many rituals you carry out, that butter will always float to the surface and it will never go down to the ground of that lake. And so it is with a person who has a lot of merit, who has done a lot of good deeds in their lives. No matter how many rituals we carry out for them, their merit will always carry them to a good place. And also, in the opposite way, if somebody regularly breaks all the precepts, if they kill and steal and lie and engage in sexual misconduct and are generally a very unpleasant person with a lot of wrong view, then it is like a pot that is filled with stones, and we throw it again in a deep lake, and then we break that pot and all the stones come out. And no matter how many rituals we perform, no matter how much merit we share with them, those stones will always remain on the ground of that lake. The stones will sink down and they will never ever come up, no matter how much merit the monastic has who is performing the ritual. So, in the same way, all the bad deeds that the person has done by killing, by stealing, by having wrong view, and by engaging in all kinds of unskillful activities, all these bad deeds will drag them down, and there's nothing much we can do for them. So it is really important to have right view about these kind of things. It is very important the way we live our lives. That is the most important thing that will determine the rebirth of a person. If a person had a good life, if they performed meritorious acts, if they kept the 5 precepts, if they were generally a kind, caring, compassionate person, then we do not need to worry about them. It is their own good deeds that will lift them up and carry them to a good place for their next life. But there is another sutta that is also very relevant for this question, and this is one that I would also like to share with you. This is called the Janusoni Sutta, which is found in the Anguttara Nikaya, and we find it in the book of 10th, Sutta number 177, and I will say again the name, Janusoni Sutta, so you can find it if you want to read this later. So this sutta deals exactly with the question. Somebody comes to the Buddha and asks him, if somebody passes away, on their behalf we give gifts and we perform the memorial rites, that is like we share merit and so on, does this merit actually go to those departed dear ones? And do they actually have a benefit from that? And then the Buddha answers, it really depends. In some conditions, they have a benefit, and in some conditions, they don't have a benefit. So this is a sutta I think is very important to understand before we carry out this transference of merits ritual. So I would like to read it together with you. So the sutta begins. Then the Brahmin Janusoni went up to the Buddha and exchanged greetings with him. The Brahmin Janusoni is not a Buddhist. He's obviously a Brahmin, just so we are clear. So the sutta continues. When the greetings and polite conversation were over, he sat down to one side and said to the Buddha, "We, who are known as Brahmins, give gifts and perform memorial rites for the dead. May this gift aid my departed relatives and family. May they partake of this gift." But does this gift really aid departed relatives and family? Do they actually partake of it? So this is the question from the Brahmin Janusoni. He says he also, similar to Buddhists, he also, when somebody passes away, they give gifts, they perform rites, memorial rites, to share the merit with the departed dear ones. And he has the question, does that help the departed person or does it not help? So the Brahmins had a very similar custom to the Buddhists. And the Buddha answers, it aids them if the conditions are right, Brahmin, but not if the conditions are wrong. And the Brahmin asks, then, Master Gotama, what are the right and wrong conditions? And the Buddha answers, Brahmin, take someone who kills living creatures, who steals, who commits sexual misconduct. They use false speech that is divisive, harsh, or nonsensical. And they're covetous, they are malicious, they have wrong view. When their body breaks up, after death, they are reborn in hell. There they live feeding on the food of hell beings. The conditions there are wrong, so the gift does not aid the one who lives there. So the Buddha starts by describing the different realms where beings can be reborn after death. The lowest one is the hell realm. So the Buddha says if somebody has been reborn in hell, he's down so low that he cannot be reached by your merit. So even though you perform the transference of merits, that relative cannot partake of that merit. Then the Buddha continues. Take someone else who kills living creatures, who breaks all the precepts as before, and who has wronged you. When their body breaks up after death, they are reborn in the animal realm. There they survive, feeding on the food of the beings in the animal realm. Their conditions there too are wrong, so the gift does not aid the one who lives there. So the Buddha describes the next realm, which is the animal realm. And if somebody has the bad fortune to be reborn in the animal realm, again the merit cannot reach them, and they cannot profit from the merit that you transfer to them. Then the Buddha continues. Take someone else who doesn't kill living creatures, who doesn't kill living creatures, steal, commit sexual misconduct, or use speech that's false, divisive, harsh, or nonsensical. They are contented, kind-hearted, and have right view. When their body breaks up after death, they are reborn in the human realm. There they survive, feeding on human food. The conditions there too are wrong, so the gift does not aid the one who lives there. So in this case, somebody has made good karma. They have kept the precepts. They spoke well. They were contented. They were kind. They had right view. And because of this good action, they were reborn as a human. So they already have a lot of merit. And in that condition too, your merit cannot reach them. But it doesn't matter because they have enough on their own. And the Buddha continues, take someone else who doesn't kill living creatures, who keeps all the precepts as mentioned before, and has right view. When their body breaks up after death, they are reborn in the company of the gods, so in heaven. There they survive, feeding on the food of the gods. The conditions there too are wrong, so the gift does not aid the one who lives there. So again, here we have a case of somebody who has performed a lot of meritorious activities, who has kept the precepts, and who had a good life, had right view, and has made a lot of merit. And they were reborn in the heavenly worlds. And there too, your transference of merits cannot reach them. But again, it doesn't matter, because they have enough merit on their own. And the Buddha continues now with the one case where your merit can actually reach the departed dear one. Take someone else who kills living creatures, who breaks all the precepts as mentioned before, and who has wrong view. When their body breaks up after death, they are reborn in the ghost realm, that is among the petas or pretas. There they survive, feeding on the food of the beings in the ghost realm. Or else they survive, feeding on what friends and colleagues, relatives and kin provide them with from here, that is from the human world. The conditions there are right, so the gift aids the one who lives there. So here the Buddha talks about people who are reborn in the ghost realm as pretas or petas, and there they can actually receive all the gifts that you sent them, the merits that you sent them. If you make offerings to departed dear ones, they can receive those offerings. And sometimes they can also be around. They can still, they're invisible to us humans, but they can still share the same spaces where we also live. They can see what we're doing, and when they see their relatives performing acts of merit on their behalf, when they see their relatives doing good deeds, a lot of joy, a lot of mudita can arise in their hearts, in their minds, And that mudita will create so much merit for them that, they are making good karma, good mental karma, and that will also help them to attain a more favorable rebirth in the future. So, now the Brahmin Janusoni asks the Buddha, "But Master Gautama, who partakes of the gift if the departed relative is not reborn in that place?" So the Brahmin asks, if the relative for whom I'm performing this transference of merits or the ritual, or for whom I'm giving, on whose behalf I'm giving those gifts, if that person isn't reborn in the ghost realm, maybe that person has been reborn in the human realm or the Deva realm, so the person isn't in the ghost realm, then who benefits of my gift, from my gift? And the Buddha says, other departed relatives reborn there will partake of that gift. So it doesn't matter if that particular relative isn't there, other relatives can benefit from your gift and from your sharing of merits. And the Brahmin asks again, but who partakes of the gift when neither that relative nor other relatives have been reborn in that place? And the Buddha answers, it's impossible, Brahmin. It cannot happen that that place is vacant of departed relatives in all this long time. It's never fruitless for the donor. So the Buddha says, even if that one particular relative for whom you are performing this transference of merits is not reborn in the ghost realm, you definitely have other relatives in the ghost realm. It is impossible that you don't have any relatives there, because samsara is so long. And in another place, in another sutta, the Buddha says, actually, every single being that exists in samsara, every single human, every single god, every other single being, even a mosquito, even a cockroach, any kind of being, has at one point been your mother, at one point been your father, or any other relative, your brother, your sister, your daughter, your son, your wife, any other kind of relative of yours. Because samsara is so immeasurably long that you have had a relationship, a family relationship with any other being at some point. So every single being that is now in the ghost realm is actually a relative of yours. So any merit that you offer, they can partake in. So it is never a waste to transfer merit, as long as you have the right view of who will benefit from this and who will not be able to benefit from this. And also the Buddha says, it's never fruitless for the donor. That means just by performing these services and by giving and by developing this right view, the donor himself or herself, the donor themselves, will make a lot of merit for themselves as well. So it will benefit both the departed ones in the Peta realm, in the spirits realm, in the ghost realm, and also the living beings right now, the humans who are performing this service. So it is this kind of, if you have right view about this kind of rituals, about the transference of merit, if you correctly understand what this ritual can do and what it cannot do, then it is not fruitless for you. Because you can develop wisdom, you can develop compassion, you can develop metta, and you can help so many other beings who are all reborn in the ghost realm. So with that in mind, this is the right kind of mindset to perform this ritual of transference of merit. So now is the right time for this. I will now do the chanting, and if you want to do the water pouring ceremony, then you should pause the video now and get a water pitcher and a bowl so that you can pour the water. Okay, so please start by chanting the Idam Me Nyatinam Hotu 3 times. Idam Me Nyatinam Hotu Sukhita Vantu Nyatayo. Idam Me Nyatinam Hotu Sukhita Vantu Nyatayo. Yata Varivaha Pura Paripurenti Sagaram Evameva Itorimnam Petanam Upakapatu Unname Udakam Vatam Yataninam Bhavattati Evameva Itorimnam Petanam Upakapati Ayuvarogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevacha Ato Nibbana Sampatti Iminate Samichatu Ichitam Patitam Tuiham Kipameva Samichatu Sabe Purentu Sankappa Chando Panaraso Yata Mani Jyotiraso Yata Sabityo Vivajantu Sabarovo Vinasatu Mate Bhavatvantarayo Sukhidigayu Bhava Avivadana Sirisanicham Udapachayino Chattaro Dhamma Vadanti Ayuvanno Sukham Balam. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.